Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. For anyone that might be interested, I'm going to make some scones today. So I will be going into my kitchen and setting my phone up on above my bench so I can show you what I'm doing. I'm going to make some fruit scones. Right, hello everyone. Today I'm going to make some scones. I'm going to make some fruit scones. So I have self-raising flour, granulated sugar, margarine, salt, and you can't see it, it's been torn up with baking powder, and juicy raisins, and milk. I have a little bit of milk in there. I might have to get a bit more out, there's not much in there. And my rolling pin. And my tray for putting them on. Put that down there. And I'm going to set my oven at 220 degrees. And I have my sieve for the flour and the sugar. So I work in ounces, I don't work in grams. So I'll put my scale on. So it's on ounces. I want 8 ounces. That's sugar, that now. I want 8 ounces of flour now. Self-raising flour. A lot of dust coming off this. That's 8 ounces of flour. Put that through my sieve. Doesn't need much sieving, it's very out. Now I want some margarine. To nothing. I want 2 ounces of margarine. Thought I had glued the top on that margarine. That's just slightly over 2 ounces, that'll do. I'll put the sieve down there. I want a pinch of salt in the, I'm just taking a pinch out of there. I work in pinches, I don't work in teaspoonfuls. Then I'll add that margarine to the margarine out the way. And I'm going to break up that margarine in pieces first before I start working with it. Now I'm going to rub it into the flour, the fat. Margarine it is actually. And I did wash my hands before I started, which I advise anybody to do. Doesn't matter what you've touched and all that, you need to wash your hands first. It's nearly done. Didn't take much to rub it in because there's only a quarter the amount of fat to the flour. Take any of that sticking to my fingers off. That's the reason you need to wash your hands before you start. You get stuff on your fingers. That's nice now, just right. Bit of shake to see if there's any lumpy bits left. It seems okay. Now I'm going to weigh out some sugar. I'll put the sieve over for the sugar because I get lumps in my sugar. I've had it quite a while, it'll be lumps in it. I don't use a lot of sugar. So I want 3 ounces of sugar. Put the scales on. I like sweet scones. It's 3 ounces of sugar. And I'm going to weigh out 3 ounces of raisins. I think I'll just have 2 ounces, I don't want too many. That'll do for the raisins. The sugar. That's finished with the sieve now. Let's mix the sugar a good mix around. I'm going to add the raisins. And now I'm going to add however much milk it takes to make a soft dough. Add a little bit to start. I'm just using a knife to work it around. Add a bit more. bit more in. And I think I'm going to have to get some more milk. So I'm going to add a little bit more milk. And just add small amounts at a time because you don't want it to get too wet. I think it's starting to come together now. It might be enough. Yes, I think that's enough milk. Now I'm going to turn that out onto the floured bench. Move everything out the way. I'm going to put some flour on the bench to roll it in. Waste not every little bit that's sticking in here is coming out. Make sure that in the sink. And I just roll it into a round. I want a little bit more flour. My rolling pin. I'm going to roll it out until it's about 1 inch thick. Like do. Well, not about, more like 1/2 inch thick. And this is my tray, and I'm putting some flour on the tray to And I want my cutter here. Now which one will I use? That one. I'm using my, the size is right off it. I think it's a 2-inch cutter. So I'm just going to get how many I can out of this. I might have rolled it a bit thin, but be more like biscuits. And I forgot to add the baking powder, so they won't rise up as much as they should, but it'll have to do. I'll put them on the tray. I roll that little bit up that's left. It's a long time since I've made any scones. I think I'm out of practice. 2 out of that. One more out of this one. That'll be more like the size they should be. Clear away the mess. Oh, I'd put a little bit of milk in there and brush it on the scones. My brush, there it is. And now I'm going to put them in the oven for 15 minutes. I put them in near the top, on the top tray. So that's my scones out of the oven, and like I said, they're more like biscuits because I forgot to put the baking powder in. But there is one. That one's a little bit better. Whoops, I've just thrown it across the bench. That's a little bit better. But the rest, more like biscuits. I'll be putting butter on the top instead of cutting them open and putting the butter inside. Well, that's me back again, and I'm going to have one of my scones. They came out a little flat because, like I said in the video, I forgot to put the baking powder in. It was there on the bench in front of me. I don't know how I forget it, but got my cup of tea here. They're still warm, and I have managed to cut it open and put some butter inside, and I'm going to have a taste to see what they're like. Well, it may be a bit flat, but they're still lovely. I'm not bragging, but I know what I'm doing, except when I forget the baking powder. The scones would have been much bigger if I'd remembered to put the baking powder in. I don't know how I forgot it. But for anyone that wants the recipe, just watch the video. Really lovely, especially when they're still warm and the butter's melted inside. So that was a little bit extra today, so I hope you enjoyed that and you've all getting your flour and your sugar and your margarine and your currants if you want to put them in. But don't forget the baking powder. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about some scones that I made a lot of years ago when I was just a child. My mother taught me how to make scones when I was 7 years old. And it was the day of the Queen's coronation and we were having a party in our street. And you know, nowadays we had the whole street, we lived in there were terraced houses and the whole street was lined with tables and, you know, cloths and plates, and the whole street, everybody was cooking things and baking stuff and putting them out, bringing them out on the table. And my mother said she was going to make some cakes, and I was saying, well, what can I make? My mum says, well, I'll tell you what to put in there. My older sister Eleanor, she was nearly 4 years older than me. She was helping Mum and that. And my mum said, well, I'll put all the stuff in the bowl for you, and she says you can make some scones. So she did all that, and she told me, you know, how to mix up the flour and the margarine. I was doing a good job of it. And then this woman that lived down the street was a friend of my mum's, Mary they called her. She come up to see what my mum was making for to take out to put on the tables and that. And my mum said that, you know, we were making cakes and that, and she said, but oh, Sheila's making some scones. And so Mary decided to take over from me. She said she would do the scones, thinking I couldn't do them. But, you know, I was quite enjoying myself, but I had the job taken off me. Mother was a little bit annoyed, but she didn't like to see anything anyway, so she just let it go. And then, anyway, Mary had finished mixing it, and she got the rolling pin out, and she was going to start rolling the scones out and cutting them out, and she was doing that, and then there was a little bit pastry left over, and she said to my mum, she picked up the bit of pastry she had in her hand, she was rolling it around in her hands like that and everything, and like this, and she said to my mum, the pastry's great, she says, for getting the muck out of your hands and your fingers. My mother just looked at me, and Mary put out all the scones and that, and they were putting little greaseproof paper with coins in, where she was putting pennies in. There was halfpennies and pennies, because they were worth a lot in my day when I was a kid. And if you were lucky, somebody would get a silver threepenny bit or a sixpence. You know, there were silver threepenny bits in our day. And she was putting all them into the scones, and she took them out, and when she went out, my mum says to me, don't you dare eat any of them scones. And I said, but there's money in them, Mum. Mum said, I don't care how much. She says, I'll give you some money, but do not eat any of them scones. And that was just a little tale I remembered, making those scones. Poor Mary, she's not with us. She hasn't been with us for a long time. I think she was older than my mum. Like. But anyway, thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you all another time. So bye for now.